Saturday, 25th of November, 2023, we have a very significant fight taking place in the super middleweight division. We have David El Bandera Rojas Benavidez, aka the Mexican Monster, versus Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade for the interim WBC Super Middleweight Championship of the world. This is a very significant fight because the WBC have recently announced that the winner of this fight will be the mandatory for the undisputed super middleweight champion Canelo. And we all know that the next Canelo fight is taking place on Cinco de Mayo, and there's not really a solid opponent out there for Canelo, and I believe this is the perfect fight in which he will satisfy his mandatory and he's going to get a good known opponent. Now, history tells us that Canelo is not too fond of Andrade due to his style. He's previously called Andrade to his face a horrible fighter, and we can see he has no interest in fighting him. But once he becomes mandatory, I believe Canelo will take it, because although Andrade's style may not be exciting, he's a respected fighter. We have to remember he was an elite amateur. He defeated notable professionals such as Daniel Jacobs, Keith Thurman 3 times, Austin Trout and Diego Chavez. He defeated them all as an amateur and represented the USA in the 2008 Olympics. He's a former 2-time world champion, holding the WBO Junior Middleweight Championship and the WBO Middleweight Championship. But we have to also remember that these titles were both vacant titles, and he didn't fight, notable competition for it. I wouldn't say that they were, greats. They weren't former world champions. David Benavidez, on the other hand, is one of the young stars of boxing today, has an exciting style. He's fan-friendly, he comes to stick it on you, throws lethal combinations, really wants to hurt you, and he's hunting you down the whole 12 rounds, If he doesn't knock you out or knock you down, by the end of the fight, you're going to be severely battered and bruised, And David Benavidez, in his own right, has fought former world champions in Caleb Plant and re-challenged on Anthony Durrell whilst he was champion himself. So David Benavidez, at his young age, has taken on former world champions, and he's already going up in his career. And I believe that in this fight, if we had to call a winner and say who's going to win, it has to be David Benavidez. Andrade has not been at super middleweight for long. He's been a career junior middleweight. He's fought at middleweight for a few years, and he's just taken a jump up to super middleweight now. But I understand that, this is an opportunity he can't miss. At the age of 34, he needs a fight that's gonna, force the world of boxing. It's gonna force him to get that big fight. And I truly believe if he does win this fight, he will get the Canelo fight. And if Benavidez wins the fight, Benavidez will get the Canelo fight. But I predict that David Benavidez is going to stop Andrade from round 7 to 12. We know Andrade is a great boxer. Where he may have success in the first few rounds, boxing and looking slick, I truly believe the pressure, the combination punches from Benavidez is going to tire him out. He's going to go to the body, and he's going to finish him up top. I don't think Andrade is going to be able to move around and escape Benavidez the whole 12 rounds. Eventually, he's going to catch him. And I also think the size of Benavidez, the fact that Andrade hasn't been a super middleweight long, is going to cause him a lot of issues. He's not used to taking a super middleweight punch. He's not used to a super middleweight size. And he's coming up against probably one of the biggest super middleweights, and someone who actually started their career as a light heavyweight in David Benavidez and has moved down to super middleweight, but he has been a career super middleweight. So this is going to be a very, very, very exciting fight. Andrade has been unlucky. He had a lackluster career, and I believe that was due to him not having a power promoter when he turned professional. Having been a 2008 Olympian, I believe he should have got that backing. He got the backing with Eddie Hearn, but for me, that was a bit too late. At that time, a lot of other fighters didn't want to fight him. He was having trouble getting fights. He ended up fighting fringe contenders, and that wasn't no fault of his own. I'm not saying he was ducking anyone. I believe Andrade wanted all the smoke, but, just the way things turned out and luck didn't go his way, But I truly believe David Benavidez is the next one up. I believe he can defeat Canelo Alvarez, and I believe he'll give Canelo probably one of the hardest fights he's had. He's young, he's hungry, and he looks like he's dedicated to the sport now. He's taking boxing serious. He's a family man. So I believe that this fight is going to show a lot, and hopefully he'll move on and get the Canelo fight in Cinco de Mayo, because that's going to be an amazing fight to watch.